Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? This is the Stafford Voice. You are tuned in to the Stafford Voice. I am your host, Daniel Stafford, where we are conservative in a world of liberal. And tonight, I want to talk about, that old phrase, can't we all just get along? That's kind of what it's about. So, I want to remind you that there are plenty of ways to listen. So wherever you're at, set this channel as a favorite. Whatever you have to do so you don't get left behind. Because if for some strange, crazy reason you do miss the show, you'll be able to catch the replay. So just sit tight. There's no need to panic because, hey, I've got you. In the case you aren't already following on social media, you can find me over on the Twitters at Stafford Voice, or on Facebook. If you need a little more than 120 to 140 characters, all you gotta do is just search for the Stafford Voice. And while you're out there on the interwebs, you can stay up to date with some of the topics that we talk about here on the show over at the staffordvoice.com. Again, that's the staffordvoice.com. We put up a couple of new posts this week. They did kind of center around what happened leaving Iowa. And that kind of leads me into what I want to talk about tonight, which is, can't we all just get along? Look, Iowa's over. It's time to move on. Is it not? I mean, we can sit here and talk and complain and cry about who won, who lost, who quote-unquote cheated or stole the election, or we can act like grown men and women and move on. After Iowa, a particular candidate decided to get out there on the Twitters and blast other candidates and what they were saying and doing, and their strategy, and trying to completely take down the winner of the Iowa caucus. Now, I talked about this Monday night after the caucus was done, and the as soon as the results started to come in, we were reporting on them. And it was pretty clear that after about 75% of the count was done and tallied up, we had a clear winner. Somebody got a little butthurt the next day when they woke up after their hangover. And I was a little beside myself. You would think better of these people because they are trying to go for the highest elected office in the United States. And yet, we want to get out there and cry about it. Now, again, I talked about this on Monday. I've talked about it before, that we pretty much knew going into Iowa that Ted Cruz was going to win. It didn't matter what the polls said. It did not matter. Because we all know that you can't fully rely on the polls. Unfortunately, somebody got a little high on them and thought that just because they were doing well, that they were going to win. They promised all of their he promised all of his followers, and if you know one thing about Donald Trump's word is everything to him. When he says something, he means it. He's going to try and get it done. When he says he's going to win and that he's going to make a deal that's going to be huge, you can guarantee it's going to be a big deal. He'll make it one. Knowing that, he was playing the good cop, bad cop. In my opinion, that's what he was doing. He was trying to figure out which one was going to stick. You know, like throwing the wet noodle against the wall. How do you know how pasta's done? Well, you take one, you throw it against the wall, and if it sticks, it's done. It's ready. Let's eat. Well, the good cop, Donald Trump, did well. When he first came into the election, he did fine. He did well. And then he started to slip in the polls. And he's not used to losing. Donald Trump is not used to losing. So what did he do? He flipped over to the bad cop, decided to play the mean guy. He decided he had to go out on the defense and be defensive. He's got to protect his image. Trump's image to him, in his eyes, is the biggest thing. It means the most to him. And so he wants to protect that. So that's what he did. He completely changed his tactic. From the moment he started his campaign, he told everybody he was going to be the nice guy. He didn't want to attack anybody. He wanted to have a clean election. He was going to self-fund everything. And those two things gave him a pedestal to stand on. That he was going to fund his own campaign. That he didn't want to play dirty politics. Well, and which is kind of an oxymoron, because everybody knows that in politics, just about everything winds up getting dirty. Dirtier than the Oval Office when Bill Clinton was last in there. Anyway. So Donald Trump starts going negative. He went against his own word, and he did this to himself. He came in second in Iowa because of himself, because of what he did. It's not because he didn't do the last debate. Honestly, he had already lost Iowa. In all honest opinion, he already lost Iowa before that debate. And I think he sensed that, and that's why he didn't go. It's not because it's not because he felt threatened by Ted and he didn't want to get into a back and forth battle with him, or that Marco Rubio was starting to climb in the polls and he was doing well, and he didn't want this barrage coming from both sides. He didn't want to get attacked by Ted Cruz on one side, Marco Rubio on the next, and he didn't want Jeb Bush down there on the end crying and because he wasn't getting talked to, and Rand Paul all the way on the other end crying because he didn't get to talk about foreign policy or abolishing the IRS or auditing the Fed. He knew that going into it. That's why. He tried to salvage as much as he could. The debate was just one piece of the pie. So I had talked about this on Monday, that I had speculated that Donald Trump was going to wind up changing his tactics. Because what led up to Iowa wasn't going to happen again. He's very smart. He's very strategic. A lot of people will try and pass off Donald Trump as being an idiot. He's really not. He really is smart when it comes to getting stuff done and trying to get his way. He really is. You have to pay attention to what he says, and once you cut through a lot of the gibberish in between the things he's saying, you can really get down to the brass tacks, and you understand that Donald Trump's not a dumb guy. He's really not. He knows what he's doing. He makes mistakes. He's human, just like everybody else. I can't believe I'm defending him, but let me get back to this. Let's stay on topic. I said that he was going to probably wind up changing tactic. Well, after Iowa, he threw his little Trumper tantrum, acted like a 2-year-old for a couple of days, retweeting people who are avid followers and saying that Iowa's dumb, it's not relevant, it doesn't mean anything, nobody cares about Iowa, and he retweets it. So basically you're throwing a whole state away if you continue on in this election. I understand he was upset. He really wanted to win. That's who Donald Trump is. He doesn't like to lose, and he's usually not put into that position. So, earlier today in an interview with, I think it was with Anderson Cooper on CNN, said that, here it is. He said he's into New Hampshire now. It's just one of those things. It was sort of a lot of strange things. And I like Ben Carson very much. He got pretty roughed up, frankly, although it affected me maybe more than Ben, but I'm so much, because I've been now here for 2 days. I'm so much into New Hampshire, that I don't care about that anymore. That was in reference to all of the Ted Cruz stuff and the Iowa. He's over it. It's what he's saying. So then he was asked, but do you think Ted Cruz intentionally was spreading false information? And Trump's response was, I don't care. I won't even say. Let's see what happens. I guess people are looking at it. Who cares? We're into here. He picked up a lot of delegates. I was second. I picked up one less than he did. So that's not going to be even a factor. But this is the place that I'm focused. He's moved on. He's readjusting. So what's his new tactic? While he sat on the sidelines and watched what Ted Cruz was doing. See, that's the thing. How did Ted Cruz win Iowa? He spoke to more people. Yeah, look, you go out there on the internet, or whenever you would turn on mainstream media, or even other talk shows out there, all they would talk about was the size of these crowds that he's speaking to. They're huge. It's amazing. Nobody's been able to do this before. This is bigger than Obama. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You can pack a stadium full of 30 or 40,000 people, but how many of those 30 or 40,000 people are you actually speaking to? Just a handful. However, when you put together a grassroots following, when you put together a grassroots campaign and you go out there and you put your feet to the ground and you go from county to county to county, and you speak at small venues, a couple hundred people, you're speaking to a lot more people than you are if you were speaking to a crowd of 30 or 40,000 people. Because you're able to connect. You're able to make you're able to give your message in a more personal sense. You're not speaking in a broad, general sort of way. You're speaking in a very focused manner. And if you're able to articulate what you're trying to get across, it definitely does make it a lot easier to get that message across to the person who you're trying to get onto your side to help push you across the finish line. Donald Trump recognized that. And just today, this is from an article from Breitbart, where just the sub-headline says GOP frontrunner Donald Trump is changing up his campaign style as he moves from Iowa to New Hampshire on Thursday ahead of the New Hampshire primary next Tuesday. So, how is he changing this up? Well, Trump is now going to start holding question and answer segments instead of just only delivering speeches at these big rallies. And he's also going to make he's also saying that he's going to make small campaign stops in addition to all the big rallies. So he's starting to figure this game out. He's dialing in, he's sitting over there and he's turning all these little magic knobs, and he's making stuff happen. To him, this is the biggest deal. This is bigger than being able to score a hotel a block and a half down from the White House in Washington, and being able to put the Trump construction fence around it. This is big for him. It's huge, okay? So he's now starting to understand this game of politics and how you go out and speak to people. At one of these little question and answer things today, he answered questions ranging everywhere from illegal immigrants to Social Security to defunding sanctuary cities. When he was asked about illegal immigrants, and so I guess somebody from the audience threw out there that illegal immigrants were the backbone of America, and Trump did not like that one bit. He said people that came here and they came here legally, people that came to this country legally and they worked their asses off, that's the backbone. And that's true. When asked about Social Security, he vowed to save it. When he was asked about defunding sanctuary cities, he said, quote, there will be no more sanctuary cities. And I guess he made a reference to anchor babies and pointing to how many tax dollars go towards anchor babies that are born here in the United States. And apparently there was a mixed reaction. Maybe the idea that Trump was kind of mentioning that Ted Cruz was an anchor baby born in Canada. Apparently there was a mixed reaction that went along with that. But Donald Trump is getting dialed in. So, but he has to be able to he has to be able to keep a clean running campaign. Money's no object to him. It isn't. Money is no object for him. He doesn't care. He will spend what he has to spend in order to make this deal, aka the becoming president, happen. He's not afraid of Sheldon Adelson. He's not afraid of the Koch brothers. He doesn't care. He's not afraid of George Soros. But in order for him to actually do well, he cannot continue to whine. He can't have a bad attitude. He just has to go out there and run a positive, clean campaign. Because after all, the last thing that these people the people who are voting want to see is back and forth battle between people on the same side. When somebody watches Ted Cruz, they're comparing Ted Cruz to who? To Bernie Sanders or to Hillary Clinton. When people look at Ted or at Donald Trump, they see Donald Trump whining about things. And he has to get over that. He has to realize that you win some, you lose some. You can't win all of them. But if you continue to remain positive about things, your message will speak louder than you can ever imagine. Because this isn't about Ted Cruz versus Marco Rubio versus Donald Trump versus Carly Fiorina versus Ben Carson. That's not what this is about. This is about who we think is best suited to lead and guide this country versus Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. That's what this is about. You have to convince people that you're a better choice than Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton. If we continue the infighting, we've already let the Democrats win. And we can't do that. We can't afford it anymore. I don't know about you, but to me, this stuff isn't rocket science. It's not. Get your message, be on point, stay positive, and don't attack the guy standing next to you because he is likely going to be the one that either helps you win or dies trying to help you win. Donald Trump needs to realize that. And all these other snarky comments from the other Republicans out there, all the other snarky comments against Ted Cruz or against Rubio, all of that stuff needs to stop. We're watering down our message, and our message has to be what separates us from the Democrats. What makes our message and what makes the direction that we want to take the country better than what Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton want to do to this country. That's what it's about. Now, when we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, I want to talk about something that Bernie Sanders said yesterday. It's kind of a lengthy soundbite, but there are a couple of things in there I want to touch on, and I've got a couple of notes here from the Democrat debate, from the Clinton-Sanders debate that just is wrapping up right now. So I want to touch on some of that when we come back. You are listening to Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, where, yes, we are conservative in a world of liberal. We'll be right back.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my name.
I'm not the type of guy that jumps into anything without first doing my research. And when I was looking for a holster, I'll admit I was having one heck of a time. You know what I'm talking about here. You find one you like, you try it on, it would be clunky. Another one fits good, but costs way too much. So you try on one last holster, it was slim, lightweight, priced right, but lo and behold, you slide your pistol in, and it falls right out. So what do? You've tried all these mass market holsters. Well, go custom. I know what you're thinking. I thought it too. Too pricey. Wrong. My guy over at Rebel Road Tactical will not only put together the perfect fitting, hand-molded, hand-assembled, custom Kydex holster, but you'll get it at an affordable price. Don't wait. Contact Rebel Road Tactical today at 682-217-4579. Again, that's 682-217-4579. Place your order.
It's the dramatic reinvention of talk radio.
Here come the spy dolphins.
The only thing that can cure racism is Robert E. Lee's penis.
Who named this cat Limberbutt McCubbin? A Trump-Biden debate.
Plugs versus rugs. Real serious nonsense. The show's so bad, you'll laugh at us.
The worst podcast. We obviously hold that title.
Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Some crowdfunding sites are too liberal and keep more for themselves. Even worse, if they don't like you or someone gets offended, they'll cancel your campaign. But not at RWNJ Funding. They hold true to conservative and libertarian values. Plus, they won't cave to the PC crowd. More importantly, they believe in you. RWNJFunding.com. The right cause, the right values, done right. RWNJFunding.com.
Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, where we are conservative in a world of liberal. So, the other day, I think it was Wednesday, Bernie Sanders was doing one of these little town hall meeting things, and he was questioned about increasing taxes on middle income, on the middle class. And I have to apologize that unfortunately you're going to have to listen to him talk this long, but this is important. He says a couple of things that if you're not really paying attention, you'll miss them. Maybe we're reading into this a little too far, because that's what we do here as a talk host, is we analyze, and maybe sometimes we overanalyze things. But again, he says a couple of things that really stood out to me. And actually, this could be an honorable mention for a Who Said That later on in the show, but we've got a better one. So I want you to hear this. Then I want to talk about some of the things he says, and then I want to cover some of what was talked about during the Democrat debate. So let's hear how Bernie Sanders explains raising taxes on the middle class.
About your tax policies.
Sure.
Senator Sanders, the first thing I hear about you is that you're going to raise taxes on the middle class. I support my family on a salary of $41,000 a year. I'm wondering, if you raise my taxes, how does that help me?
Good. Can I stand up?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay. Chris, thanks very much for that good question. This is what we are going to do. The United States is the only major country on earth that doesn't guarantee health care to all people, and we end up spending far, far more per capita on health care, as do the people of any other country, Canada, UK, France, whatever. What we are going to fight for is a Medicare for all single-payer program, which would provide comprehensive health care to your family and every family in America. So let me tell you what we do. We raise your taxes if you're somewhere in the middle of the economy, about $500. But you know what we're going to do for health care? We're going to reduce your health care cost by $5,000. So you're going to pay a little bit more in taxes, but you're no longer going to have to pay private health insurance premiums. Now, I've been criticized for this, but I believe that health care is a right of all people, that we should not have these deductibles and co-payments. We should not be paying the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. And our Medicare for All program will guarantee comprehensive care to all people and save middle-class families some thousands of dollars a year.
Chris, let me just ask you, does that math work for you?
I mean, if it saves me on health insurance premiums, I will gladly pay more taxes.
See, and Chris, what happens in politics, I don't want to shock anybody in the office, sometimes people distort things. And I've had 30-second ads run against me years ago. Bernie is going to raise your taxes. But they forget to say we're going to do away with your private health insurance premiums. Bottom line here is we spend almost 3 times more per person than the British, 50% more than the French. We can save substantial sums of money, and my Medicare for All system is funded in a very progressive way. Yes, you'll pay a little bit more, but your health premiums will disappear.
That's assuming you can get that through, though.
Well, that's true. But all of what I am trying to do assumes something. When I talk about making public colleges and universities tuition free, and doing that and paying for that through a tax on Wall Street speculation, when I talk about rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, which, as you know, is in disrepair all over this country, and talk about doing away with huge loopholes that major corporations now enjoy, so that in a given year you have these large corporations making billions, not paying a nickel in taxes because they're putting their money in the Cayman Islands. Now, how do we get these things through? What this campaign is about is not just electing a president. It is creating a political revolution where millions of people, many of whom have not been involved in the political process, stand up and demand a government which represents all of us, not just wealthy campaign contributors. That's how we make change.
Let me ask you.
Okay. So, let me get this straight. This person attending Bernie's town hall claims to be middle class at making $41,000 a year. Right off the bat, we know that, in all honesty, he doesn't pay taxes. He doesn't. At $41K, you get everything back. And he actually may get a little more back because of it. So I'm not going to touch on that. No. But let's talk about what Bernie Sanders brought up. Bernie Sanders says that he believes health care is a right for old people. So is that the reason why the Democrats are okay with aborting so many unborn children? Is that why? Because we only worry about health care for old people? We don't worry about it for the young ones. We don't care. Raising taxes $500 to cut healthcare premiums, private healthcare premiums, by $5,000. I don't know. I have a feeling where he's pulling that out of. I think maybe that's his 71 or however the hell old he is, out of his 80-year-old Pampers. That might be where he's pulling these numbers out. But what's really sad is the questioner's response to when he is asked if that answers his question or if that changes anything, or if he's okay with it, and he says, yes, I will gladly pay more taxes to not have to pay healthcare premiums. Let's just leave that right. Let's just leave that one there. Because then Bernie says Medicare for all. I know quite a few elderly that that rely on Medicare, and they're not very happy. They're not very happy with Medicare at all. They would much rather have private health care. They would gladly pay private health care. So we may just have to leave that one there. But towards the end of his little spiel, he said his campaign is about creating a political revolution. A political revolution. That's Bernie Sanders talk for he wants to fundamentally transform America. And if you remember 8 years ago, our current president campaigned on that very idea. Obama wanted to fundamentally transform America. And now Bernie Sanders says his campaign is about creating a political revolution. I don't know about you, but that kind of creeps me the hell out of here. What else is creepy is having to listen to and try and keep up with the Democrat debate. So, I made a few notes. And we're just going to run down these, and then we'll change gear and we'll do some Who Said That, because I just can't wait to bring that one to you. It's grand. That's really all I can say about it. So, apparently, Hillary Clinton wants to get things done. And one of those things she wants to get done is she doesn't want to have to start over with healthcare. She said that we need to get from 90% coverage to 100%. And that she wants to do that before making college affordable. Not free, but affordable. So, why am I bringing up what the Democrats were talking about during their debate? As much as it pains me and disgusts me to have to listen to what they say, it is equally important. Because when you really understand what when you really pick apart what they're saying, you understand how it is so many people jump on the bandwagon and want to support Hillary Clinton or support Bernie Sanders. I mean, you have an unapologetic socialist right now who is highly capable and more than likely going to be able to dethrone Hillary Clinton we all know Hillary Clinton thinks that she is the queen of untouchables. Listen to what Clinton said. She wants to make college affordable. I guarantee somebody that you know, at least 5 people right now. At least 5 people who are either in college or paying for college. And I guarantee you that of those 5 people, all 5 of them will tell you it is ridiculously priced. So they jump on the bandwagon because Hillary Clinton says she wants to make it affordable. Not free, because she knows that there is no way in hell she's going to be able to come up with a way to pay for it. So Bernie Sanders, on the other hand, says that how he's going to pay for free college is he's going to pay for it with a tax on Wall Street speculation. And he says that, quote, it's time for Wall Street to help the middle class. So, again, with the taxes, I don't know about you, but I feel overtaxed enough. I am sick and tired of seeing how much money gets taken away from me and redistributed to others that sit like fat cats with nice TVs, cable television, Obama phones. And now we want to tax somebody who's out there trying to create more wealth. I guess it's just the way it's all in the way you look at it and think about it. Well, so Sanders, at one point, he called out Hillary Clinton, saying that she's got the entire establishment behind her, and he's got over 1 million people. I can't even read my own handwriting. Oh, he's got over 1 million people contributing an average of $27 apiece. And that, quote, my campaign is a campaign of the people, by the people, for the people. Now we're invoking Lincoln? An unapologetic socialist named Bernie Sanders is quoting Lincoln. And it resonates with people. Never mind the psychological impact that, speaking in threes does when you list out 3 things. Never mind the psychological aspect of it. He's doing this for you. Nobody else. He's not attached to these big corporations. He's not attached to the establishment, even though he's been in Washington for quite some time. He's not attached to these big banks. He's not about any of that. He's for you, for the people. Well, so Clinton slammed Sanders, or not slammed, I'm sorry. Again, I can't even read my own handwriting. I was writing so fast. But Clinton claimed that he was attacking her for taking donations and speaking fees from special interest groups, and that basically that means that she's being bought, which we all know that she is. Both Clintons are bought and paid for. Anything they say or do is bought and paid for. So Sanders replied to her saying that there's a reason they're putting huge amounts of money into our political system, and it's undermining American democracy. Oh my God, again! This is how he resonates with people. When you've got those middle-of-the-road undecideds, when you get those that undecided group of people, and they're sitting there looking at both sides, and on one side they see the back and forth bickering and the crybabies and all the little temper tantrums, and then they look over here and they see this old gray-haired guy that reminds them of their grandpa, and he's talking about undermining American democracy, and he's saying quotes. He's saying things that only they've heard in school. They've never heard it outside of school when they were back in 3rd and 4th grade. The only time that they've ever learned about Lincoln. And they hear him say, of the people, by the people, for the people. And then in the next couple of minutes, he says something about undermining American democracy. That's how we lose. That's how we lose. Because we're just not doing it. We're not able, because we're doing all that back and forth BS. You have to go out and separate yourself and pick apart your opponent. And who is our opponent? None other than Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. That's my advice if any campaigns out there are listening. Please direct your candidate to do that. So Bernie Sanders, in talking about Wall Street, he said, quote, these guys, in reference to these guys, was referring to Goldman Sachs. He said, these guys are so powerful that not one of the executives on Wall Street has been charged after paying a $5 billion fine. And then he then adds that a kid with marijuana goes to jail, but a banker that wrecks the economy doesn't go to jail. And that this needs to change. Yeah, it does need to change. I'll admit that. Do we need to throw a kid in jail for having a joint? Probably not. Are we willing to spend that much tax money to house a punk kid for who knows how long because he's got a joint? I think there's bigger and better things we can do with that tax money to make sure he doesn't reach for a joint. This is how they resonate. This is how they are bringing those fence sitters onto their side. And just because this really pisses me off. It really, really ticks me off to no end when this continues to be brought up. Apparently they were talking about how does Hillary Clinton really have experience on foreign policy? And she said that her record proves that she's got good judgment because she helped make the decision to get bin Laden. I think if you've listened to this show for any given amount of time, I don't think I really have to respond to that one. I've talked till I've been blue in the face about Obama sitting like a fat cat on a golf course while our beloved armed services are out there doing the work. Hillary Clinton's record proves just because she has foreign policy quote-unquote experience, her experience proves she's not qualified to be president. It's just so disgusting. It really is. But you know what? Let's do this. Let's change the tone for just a little bit. That's right. By that sound, that says it's time for Who Said That. And this week's Who Said That, boy, it's a real chuckle. I mean, it's borderline insanity. I mean, beyond a shadow of a doubt, this person is completely stuck on stupid. There's no question about that. But you know what? Just hear them say it for themselves. This is a riot.
So here's my pledge to you. I will be a commander-in-chief that will have the back of the military. I won't trash talk. I won't be a divider-in-chief or an agitator-in-chief. I won't be out there blowharding, talking a big game without backing it up. I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country, to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
Bravo! Bravo! That's right, Mr. Jeb. Oh, my word. Listen, if you're that hard up, hire a bunch of hookers, buy a bag of Coke, snort it up, and have a good time. If your message sucks that bad that your audience is so bored that they forget to read the cue cards to clap and you have to ask them to clap, suck it and go back home. You've lost. You don't have a chance in hell. But please clap. Okay, seriously, if you're out there right now listening, please clap for Jeb ? Oh, I'm so, it's, yes. I listen, if you're good with, I need to ask you guys for a favor. If you're listening right now, please do me a favor. please go out there. If you're good at Photoshop, I want somebody to go out there, and I want to share this like crazy. I don't want the credit for this. Whoever puts it together, please just tag me in it or whatever, and make sure I see it, because I just want to see it. I don't know how to do the Photoshop thing. I can't do it. I could put some scribbles on a piece of paper and call it funny, but if somebody's got some mad Photoshop skills, please do this. Take that stupid little Jeb logo, cut out the exclamation point, the exclamation mark, and put in a question mark with the same font. Please do that for me. I picture what I see in my head looks absolutely hysterical, and that actually deserves a clap. Not the kind of clap that we would hope Bill Clinton has, but that's a whole different segment for a whole different show. But I'm looking at the time and I realize that's all we've got for tonight. And God willing, the Stafford Voice will be back next time, right here, same bat time, same bat channel, Mondays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. Do me a favor, you can follow me on the Twitters at Stafford Voice, or you can look me up on Facebook if you need more than 120 to 140 characters to say what you really need to say. All you got to do is just look for the Stafford Voice. Hit that like button, share it with your friends and your family. Also, if you want to remain anonymous, or you've got a good news tip or a good lead on a story, or questions or comments about anything that you've heard, feel free to email them to me at thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Again, that's thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. And from the bottom of my heart, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your time. And until next time, thanks and God bless.